Welcome to the Solemn Vanguard channel. Today I am starting part 2 of my State of the Game video. So if you haven't watched part 1, make sure you do that. It's on my channel, go ahead and check it out. And now before you enjoy part 2, here's a message from our sponsor. Sponsored by Royalty Playmat Designs, the perfect way to get a custom and exclusively for you design for your Vanguard playmats. Choose your units, choose some or no zones, choose a tagline, a team name, the name of your bunny. Anything your heart desires at Royalty Playmat Designs. So another fix, obviously, is a Revival Collection Volume 2. We really need one. I'd say for next stage and the likes. There's just a lot of cards right now that came after the initial Revival Collection, or even before. Stuff like Crayon Tiger really needs a reprint, because right now, if you want to start Great Nature, you will quickly find that you can get everything for a really cheap price, except for the Crayon Tiger, which is 20 a pop. So you're paying $80 for 4 double Rs, and that's insane because it's a card everyone needs, and that actually is kind of supply and demand, and Bushi needs to fix that. So Revival Collection Volume 2, I think everyone agrees we need another one. Then another thing, and they actually did this really well with the Bermuda booster, is reprinting of staples. So look at Olivia, Kukui, the Unflip PG, Spica, they all got reprints in that set. Because of that, it's actually relatively easy to get into Bermuda right now. You could make a Harmony deck for a pretty okay price because a lot of stuff got reprinted and has a fair price now. They also did this in the Link Joker booster, a little less so, but still some staples were reprinted, and they're also putting Stride Folders in trial decks now. So it's getting better, but they should definitely consider doing this for way more clans. Like, there's so much jank right now to fill boosters because they know, well, no one is going to use those commons. Why not use that opportunity to put in some reprints from sets that aren't being printed anyway? Like, they won't lose any money on reprinting Petros the Crit. They won't lose anything from that if they just made it a common, and a lot of people would finally be able to play the clan and not feel like they're missing out on something. Same for a lot of other clans. They definitely need to consider that, because they're not even printing G booster set 3 anymore. There's barely any stores that have that booster set anymore. Reprinting that literally doesn't lose them money, but is helping people actually build certain decks that they wanted for a long ass time, and that will ensure that new people enter the game. Then the future. There's two things I kind of want to discuss. First of all, I am relatively afraid of the ZRs, and that is because there's so much that can go wrong. If these aren't printed more than GRs, we are doomed, because GRs like Gancelot that were sought after because of Royal Paladin players, they went for $30 to $40. Now imagine what happens if multiple clans need that CR. The price will double, triple, quadruple, depending on how many clans need it, purely because of the supply and demand chain. Let's say the ZR that's good for Aqua, Grand Blue and Bermuda, if it's a staple, all those players will need it, and if it's super rare, then we're really in big trouble. Now, if it's a one-off, that kinda fixes the issue, but not really, because even if there's, let's say, 2 or 3 ZRs per case, there's still gonna be craploads of players who need it. So I would say we need at least 6 ZRs per case, or they will be massively overpriced, because everyone needs them in every single deck, especially at United Sanctuary. The amount of clans they have, if they short print that card will be $100. I'm also afraid of ZRs because of what they could mean for the game. Like, if it's a one-off, it means it's a finisher. So the game will kind of start going into whoever is first into their ZR, which is obviously pathetic and would really suck for the game in general. It would get rid of the lack of linearity that I discussed and praised earlier. Now, if it's something like the GB8s we got, that they're just really mediocre for some and amazing for others, then we're also fucked. So if it's a late game finish card, I think a lot of things can go wrong, because it will be a race to ZR. If it's a card that's really late game, it might just not be relevant, because a lot of decks don't survive that long. Like, look at the GB8 for Aquaforce. I will never use it. I took it out of my deck because I just don't get there, and even if I would get there, it's really a shit card. But the ZRs really need to be balanced, and that's another issue. If it works for multiple clans, the skill of a ZR might be better for one clan than for the other, because I'm just really at home with Aquaforce. Let's say the ZR for Magallanica is super great for a full field. That might be really easy for Grand Blue and Bermuda to pull off, but for Aquaforce it isn't, because we don't have any calling slash sick advantage engine, and so in that way the ZR really helps Grand Blue, and then for Aquaforce it will be like eh. And it's the same for many other nations where the skills of those nations just don't line up. So will the ZR have this very general skill, or will it really help one clan more than the next? Some people said, well, then it will probably be a Gear Groovy skill, and that sounds like the worst idea they could possibly come up with. It wouldn't be healthy for the game, because some strides just weren't meant to be put together, let's be real. Let's say Tetra Boil and Wailing Tavas. Next stage with Avenir Phoenix or whatever, like, you don't want this kind of stuff. You don't want Gear Groovies for every clan, especially if it's not limited to the kind of stride like Gear Dragon, for example. So we don't want that. And also, it would be really boring, because it would mean that every single ZR has the exact same skill, and that sounds very, very bland to me. So there's crap loads of things that can go really, really wrong with ZR, so I'm pretty afraid of those. But I do have trust in Bushi to actually make something very interesting out of it that's not busted. Like G-Guardians could have gone wrong as well, and those actually ended up being very, very good for the game in my opinion. And another thing that's pretty interesting for the future of the game is power creep, because the game had kind of stagnated over the past year, actually. There wasn't a lot of power creep, but these past two sets, man, like set 11 alone turned Bladewing from tier 2 into sickening tier 1. Set 12 turned Battle Sisters from tier 65 into sickening tier 1. Even though I find it very good that lots of decks are getting super great upgrades, it's really nice for some players to finally be able to use the decks they love. It also means that they will have to keep bringing out new cards that are way better than the rest in order to keep that train floating. So let's say they want to make Maelstrom relevant now. Not only does it have to be better than Gears from 6 months ago, it has to be even better than Tiger Jaeger and better than Battle Sisters in order to be relevant and better than those. And so you kind of get this disgusting loop of support getting better and better and better at a really heightened rate, to a point where old cards will become very, very irrelevant, but I trust that they won't. In general though, these last 2 points might have sounded negative, and I'm really not trying to do that, because a lot of people are very cynical, and people think it's only Vanguard because they're usually only in the Vanguard community. But if you start looking at any other game, people are always bitching. It's not that a majority of the players are negative, it's that the loudest players are negative. There's always some dude in every single comment section of every single game going, "Ah, the game is dying. So obviously dying." You had this for every single World of Warcraft expansion. People go, "Oh, the game is dying." You have this for Yu-Gi-Oh! You have this for Magic. You have this for Pokemon. You have this for every single game. You always have cynics saying the game is bad, the game is dying, the community is toxic, even though they're the toxic ones. So I wouldn't really trust those kind of voices, because they just enjoy themselves by being negative. In general, the game is in a very, very good state right now. Lots of people are joining, because there's just a lot of decks you can play and a lot of decks stand a chance. And bricking isn't as bad as it used to be. Your drive checks really save you compared to, like I said, in Yu-Gi-Oh! And Magic, where you depend on that one draw. I think overall the state of Vanguard is very good. The secondary market should be fixed in some way or form. I'm afraid of 2 things, but I hope that Bushi will take care of them. I'm pretty sure they will. If you found this talk interesting, or if you don't agree with something, feel free to go ahead and go in the comments down below. Let's have an interesting discussion, a civil one at that. Go ahead and subscribe, like the video, and I will see you soon. Ciao.